Today we're going to talk about why it's so important to use income riders if income is even remotely involved. Hey everyone, welcome to Seven Figure Annuity Sales Coach Expert. What are we doing here? Something. It's like seven figure. Go ahead, Caleb. What are we doing?
Seven Figure Annuity Sales Podcast. It's funny.
They can't come up with a short name for this. They're wanting this long, drawn out name.
It was the Annuity Sales Coach Podcast and Seven Figure Annuity Sales Podcast. So
it's How to Sell More Annuities podcast.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
That's really what it comes down. And you know what? For the next, you're going to interrupt me, weren't you?
I was
already.
Going to.
So for the next 3 or 4 podcasts, I'm going to be wearing this shirt, and it's Failure's Not an Option, because you know what? At the end of the year, I want you to think of one thing: failure's not an option. At the beginning of next year, I want you to think about failure's not an option. Mm-hmm. And the reality is, when we provide this information to you, failure should not be an option. We have been doing this for many years. And the one thing I am just getting a little frustrated with, not in a bad way, it's but so many agents that give up because they can't do it. And I find out they're getting another 9 to 5 job or an 11 to 8 p.m. job or to work. I mean, they're going back to the normal corporate thing they tried to get out of the I'm tied up having to work for someone else to where I could be completely free. And man, I'm telling you, as someone who's done this for almost 18 years, 17 and a half years, there is nothing better than working for yourself. Now, I can balance that out, because I have a team of people. Yeah. There's nothing better than working for Chad. There really is. So that's what it comes down to. But we, and me in general, I love vacation, I love travel, but I give an enormous amount of flexibility to my team too. If they say, hey, I want to do something, no problem, take it off, and no problem. But the reality is most jobs, you can't do that in. You have to be there 9 to 5 or whatever your hours are. You just don't get that type of flexibility. And for our industry, there is nothing better than that. You should not have to go back to work. And here's the reality. I mean, I meet with hundreds, if not thousands of people in my career. And I can tell you, it's so frustrating to meet with someone who's 65 years old that is currently making $45,000 a year, and they've been at their job for 25 years. And so $1 million annuity will double that. Well, not quite double it,
sure,
but it'll make a lot. Well, after taxes, it'll pay for 1 year's worth of income. But the reality comes into, we want you to succeed.
We do.
And I can tell you, income rider is a big topic because you have people, it's like Ford and Chevy. We all know Ford people are right. We know that for sure.
Yeah.
But you just said, yeah.
Whoa.
No, don't. We are not cutting that out. So we all know Ford people are right. You can't say you already said it.
No.
And so when it comes down to it, you have these people that are diehard index only and diehard income rider. I'm diehard. What does the client need?
Yeah.
The only way to find out what they need is to do a complete fact finder.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and if you don't have a fact finder, you need one.
And
we've got one for you.
Well, as long as you're part of our academy.
Yeah.
Because
so reach out.
What? We don't do things for free. That's the thing.
Except the podcast.
The podcast is free. But I'm talking, yeah, that's true. Wow.
As
we do a
doing
lot
something.
for free. So we do a lot for free.
That's funny.
These take a lot of time. But
they do.
The reality comes into, when it comes to our documents and things like that, these are copyrighted documents. And to be fair to our paying agents, it wouldn't be fair to just give them all the free stuff if we already have agents paying for it.
Yeah.
But what are we talking about?
Well, I
already know what we're talking about.
Yeah, and I love the way you introed it as well, Chad, because originally we were going to script this thing as the importance of income riders or why you should use income riders, but you're like, well, wait a second. We've got to qualify this by saying why you should be using income riders when income is the problem or the need or whatever you want to call it. And I think that therein lies a real issue that a lot of agents face. When I talk with agents, I constantly hear the terminology of they have $100,000 to quote unquote invest. They have $150,000 to invest. If your mindset, even as an agent, is that they're quote unquote investing, and they're doing my air quotes again, but that they're investing, your mindset is not set on solving a problem.
Yeah.
It's $100,000 that you can use to solve a problem. It's $150,000 that you get to use to solve a problem. So if you're not doing a fact finder, you're not going to see what the problem is, and you're not going to be able to find the best product to solve the problem at hand.
And this is why my average case is over 350,000 or somewhere in that neighborhood. It's because when I go to someone's house and they say, yeah, I have $100,000 to put in, but I find out through the fact finding they actually have $1 million or 500,000, it still goes into what is the purpose of the money.
Yeah.
Now, if I find someone that has $1 million and they say, hey, I only want to put in 100,000, I present my case, I explain to them why they need it, and they still want to do 100,000, fine, it's their money. But I can walk away from that appointment knowing through my fact finder, if anybody ever says, well, you helped this guy and you didn't do the right thing and you didn't tell them about income and you just took the $100,000, I can go, here's my sheet that I saved, by the way.
Right.
And I went over everything about income. Oh, by the way, here's the illustration I saved that talked about income. So you cannot say, oh, by the way, here's the other thing that I have them sign if we do an application is we talked about life insurance. We talked about long-term care. Even on my fact finder, we talk about life insurance. We talk about long-term care. I cover every base because once again, as acting as, or anytime you're moving IRA money, you have to act as a fiduciary. So you have to go through these things. So if you're not doing full fact finders,
well,
it's not good.
It's true. And the flip side to that coin for you, Chad, is you go in, you find you're going through the full fact finder, you realize they've got $1 million. The lead said they got 100,000, again, to invest. But because you do the fact finder, you see there's a whole lot more here that's available should it be needed.
Absolutely.
So on the fact finder, you're also doing their income analysis. If $100,000 doesn't get them the income they need, now you know that this other is here. You can then run them an illustration or whatever it needs to be to show them what it would take to solve the problem. And in that case, if it's income, awesome. But
by the way, I really like having this desk here.
Yeah, we changed it up, kind of
I like
reverted back.
I just felt like before I was saying that.
Well, when we were,
I like the desk here.
for the people that just listen to us, they're probably not going to know what we're talking about.
Well, then that means they have to go back and check it out.
YouTube.
Yeah, so we're not telling you.
So if you go to the YouTube, you see that there was a few episodes there where we did.
I said don't tell them.
Overhead mics. This is a sound quality solution here.
Okay, so go into what you're going to do.
Yeah, well, just talking about income riders, I think it's important that, one, we say, when it's needed, when it solves the problem, but I think you also have to look at the competition within the same product, the competition that an income rider has within the same product to generate income. So what I'm saying is you've got annuitization that can generate income.
Don't ever do it, by the way.
You've got RMDs, if it's qualified count, that is in essence income. And you've got most products. You've got
RMDs
the penalty free.
are not income.
Well,
and here's why I say that. RMD is a required minimum distribution, which most people know that, but that's not income. That's what you have to take out so you pay taxes
you pay your taxes on it.
Because income is something, for me, income means you have designated as a purpose for income.
Sure, but even...
You could count that towards your income.
Right.
But when you're looking at true income, to me, it's, and this is important to understand because I've had clients say, well, I already have income. I take my RMDs out. Okay, so how long is that going to last for?
Well, you don't know.
You don't know. I mean, if you have to keep taking your RMDs, that increases over the time as you get older because the percentage you have to take out. How do you know? So that's technically not income. And I decipher the difference between the two because this happens quite often. I'm already getting income. I'm taking out my RMDs. Well, how long is it going to last you? So that's why I know you're right. Anything you get in is considered income. But for the state of or the stake of saying, or sake of.
You're already thinking about tonight.
Tonight, man, I'm going to this party, and it's a bunch of guys getting together, and we are going to have a big old fat, juicy ribeye that's been wrapped in seaweed for 2.5 weeks. It's been aged for 60 days. I am so ready. This better be good, because if it's bad or they mess it up and it doesn't,
anyway. It's going to be a bummer.
Yeah.
It's like, haven't eaten all day, saving room for that. And it's like, if it's not good, that's going to really stink.
I was going to say, okay, but for the sake of using the word income or income rider, we want to make sure we're designating the purpose of income for life.
Right.
In other words, no matter how long you live, because we go back to the same thing. I've said it so many times. There's 2 things you can't tell me: how long you're living for, and what the stock market's going to be doing tomorrow, let alone the next 10 or 5 or 10 years.
Right.
I mean, the stock market is so volatile, and there's one thing that controls the stock market. What do you think that one thing is, Caleb?
Emotion.
Emotion. One thing controls the stock market. That's why you can see over the past few months, stock market crashes on variant. Stock market next day, stock market increases off of hope of variant. The next day, stock market crashes on variant. Next day, the fear of the variant has changed. Now it's up again. It's all emotion.
Right.
I mean, here's the reality. These newspaper writers and these article writers need to be lined up, and their little baby toe needs to be hit with a hammer every single time, because you know what? They're hurting people. Yeah. So I want to hurt them. But anyway, because they do it off of pure fear. Right.
Yeah,
you know,
and you hate fear conjuring.
I hate it when people work off of fear and they manipulate off of fear. I hate that.
Yeah. Well, I want to go back just a hair to the idea of the competition, right? So we've talked, you've got annuitization, you've got RMDs, thank you for clarifying that, and you've got the penalty-free withdrawals. You can take out X% for, however long. So when you're looking at those, right, you look at annuitization, maybe you have some great guarantees, but your liquidity goes out the window.
It's gone.
And any kind of
and with products we have nowadays, with the interest rates we have, really annuitization, the interest rate is so low on your annuitization, it's just not worth it anymore.
And then you've got the RMDs where, maybe you get some increase over the years, hopefully. So you've got some level of inflation protection. Simultaneously, you're still market dependent. Think about that. If you take X% in your RMD and you have a 0 year, now it's not guaranteed to keep going for the rest of your life.
And it continues to increase. I mean, I've gotten calls from people that say, hey, I'm 80 years old now. I'm running out of money because I kept in the stock market. I dealt with volatility. My RMDs continue to increase. Now I'm out of money.
Right.
2 things people tell me more than anything else. I never thought I'd get old this fast, and I never thought I'd live this long.
Yeah.
And so you've got to address that.
Yeah.
I mean, once again, 17 years. I don't have people complain because they missed out on the stock market rage. I just talked to a client 2 days ago, and she said, the markets went up a lot. I said, yeah, but it always goes up till it goes down. And she goes, that's what I love. I just don't even have to worry about that anymore.
You don't. And then you've got the penalty-free withdrawals, right? Where you take out, a set percentage, which again, great for freedom. You take out whatever you need, however much of it you want. But again, it's still market dependent. It's still based on if the market performs, even in the FIA. It's still, if the market does this, then you can take that percentage and still have it recouped for the next year. Soon as you have a 0 year and you take out your 4, 5, 6, 8% and the 0, now you have to take out a higher percent the next year to just have the same amount of income. It's not a long-term solution.
Absolutely not.
So the only option
is income for life.
If that's the purpose of the money,
really, when it comes down to 80% of my business is income for life, because I don't need income. I have more than enough. Well, when you die, your pension gets cut in half, and the lower of the 2 Social Securities goes away. Oh wow, I didn't even think of that. I mean, very rarely do I ever see anybody that can live off of their pension or their Social Security if one of them passes away. Very rare.
Yeah. The last 2 of those strategies, the RMDs and the penalty-free withdrawals, are the 2 most common income strategies that I see or hear and talk with agents about when they're not using income riders. Right. But again, problem with RMDs is that the design of RMDs is not so that you get income. The design of RMDs is that you have to pay taxes on gradually more and more larger percentage of your funds. The government wants you doing that, and then the penalty-free withdrawals, that 5-10%, whatever it is within the product, that's not designed to be an income.
Correct.
That's designed to be an emergency liquidity.
Correct.
Within that first, the surrender period.
Correct.
So the income rider, really, even though it does have a charge on it, or most do. I guess there are free riders, but
all the good ones have some sort of charge.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some out there that claim they don't have a charge, but I look at it and I'm going, that's a dog.
Yeah. I think the problem too, though, Chad, with the going to the RMDs specifically, is if you look at an income rider on paper versus index strategy, any kind of decent index strategy with the RMD option, the RMD illustration almost always looks better.
I know, and
because
that's why they
10
do
years.
it. That's why people do it, just showing the RMDs. And I hate that because I can make the illustration look a lot better if I didn't include guaranteed income for life off of it. And it makes it look like the income will never run out, and it makes it look like there's still going to be a death benefit. But the reality is
we don't know.
We don't. And if we have a bad run in a market where the market drops 4 or 5 years, which that would be a really bad scenario. I'm not with these doom and gloomers saying market's going to crash for 10 years. I mean, one time in history that I know of is the Great Depression, and that was it. Yeah. So I just don't think that's going to happen ever again because they'll print more money. Yep. Could it? Absolutely, but I don't know. Yep. But I know beyond any shot of doubt, an income rider, I've never heard of any income ever going away, being paid out, including in a annuitized annuity before the income riders even came out.
There you go.
So, yep.
So if you're looking for, if income's the problem and you're trying to find an income solution and you want to maintain kind of the liquidity features obviously within the contract and real solid actual ownership of the contract as well and the account value and all that, so you don't want to be based on market performance, then go with an income rider.
Well, remember, we did a video a little while ago that told my favorite product, and until further notice, that's the one. I mean, you want to be sure if you want to get contracted with this, you can. If you want to make sure you invest in yourself, remember, failure's not an option. I mean, you've got to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
You've got to. I just did it myself. I paid a lot of money for a course that I'm taking. I have courses that I subscribe to. Why? I constantly want to get better. There's no better place for me to invest in myself now, because as I get more knowledge, more revelation, more inspiration, then I can pour into others the same way.
That's exactly right.
Yep. Okay. Well, I think that's it,
that's
right?
It.
Wow, that was pretty simple. Well, as you guys know, of course, it's the thing I've said from the beginning of time, happy selling.